Some people have the wind on their back, and some people, every step they take, they have wind pushing against them in their face. And so we hear these stories, and by connecting to people through their stories of pain, through their dark night of the soul, we grow closer as a community and really create deep bonds. And so all of this, like Hildegard and her mystical way of being, is in all of this. So she created mandalas through art, and what I'm doing is creating mandalas of people. And one of her mandalas, it has angels all around the side of it. And so when I sit in circle with these men in San Quentin, we're sitting shoulder to shoulder, and I feel we are creating that mandala. We are becoming angels, guiding each other in how we can really connect and interconnect to ourselves.
So she says that when humans are sinning on earth, it disturbs the heavens above. Those of us who believe in global warming, that the environment is being damaged by humanity's actions, can, I think, connect to this and see that as a sort of sin, if you will, to which the heavens are replying. I know when I've talked to people about Hildegard's views and how the heavens shake in response to what humans are doing, they immediately connect with that and say, well, of course they are. Look what's happening. The heavens are shaking and doing other things.
To be a doctor of the church means you are an intellectual. You have intellectual prowess. Other doctors of the church would be John Duns Scotus, who's a 14th century theologian who wrote great lengthy treatises on disputed questions of deep intellectual work. Bonaventure, the seraphic doctor, and Thomas Aquinas are other examples of doctors in the church. There are very few women doctors in the church, and for Hildegard to be named one of them is to speak to her intellectual prowess and her ability as a theologian, her theological acumen, and she's on par with Aquinas, is what that means.
You cannot have a Nobel Prize than being the doctor of the church throughout the world. Yeah.
The study of God does not necessarily have to be divorced from the study of science or the study of art or the study of music. It's something that floods through all of life. As a theologian, she saw it as her duty to understand life through the lens of her visions and of scripture. And that did not necessarily divorce itself from scientific pursuit. Although the 21st century would certainly look at Hildegard's writings on medicine and probably scoff at them, the fact of the matter is that it was science in her day that she was engaging quite well, which is an important lesson for any contemporary theologian, I think.
I'm a trained naturalist. I'm a Naturwissenschaftler, which is a PhD. I was trained at the Technical University in Berlin, and thereafter I went to Yale University as a postdoc, and then I worked 13 years in the pharmaceutical industry. I did everything you can do, from research to clinical research, to try out the first time drugs with patients. And after the end of my career in the pharmaceutical industry, I saw all you do is synthetical drugs. And I saw in the clinical trial that all those synthetic drugs have severe side effects. Even they sometimes bring that disease out which you want to prevent. So I looked more and more in nature, and I went more and more to Hildegard's medicine. And today I take Hildegard's remedy and scrutinize, and I look very scientifically into remedies and see the constituents, I see the molecules, I see what works together, and it's in harmony with our body. And this is the biggest mistake in the pharmaceutical company today, is that they don't look in nature anymore. You don't have to rediscover anything new, it's all there already. You only take it from nature, isolate it, and see what it does, and there's a lot of work to do. What I also feel, and this is very spiritual. Hildegard is the first one and the only one who has a Christian system of medicine in respect of a holistic system. She has spirituality, theology, cosmology, she has music and healing arts, and she has all in her books, in her work included. And this is our traditional healing system in the Western world.
She had gardens, she grew herbs. There's a whole book of herbal medicine that she developed. Natural healing. She's one of our first, an ancient natural healer.
And many of Hildegard's practices of using an egg for healing, of using herbs, of using stones, those are in the curandera tradition. And what a curandero or curandera does for someone is they might be called a healer, but actually what they're doing is they are inspiring the healing energy within you. And they are connecting you to the healing graces of the plant world. And they kind of, they will pray with you and try to open your heart, expand your heart. So that way, if you do something like eat this basil, I am taking in basil, and basil is becoming a part of me. And basil is the herb of love and abundance. So as I eat basil, or I can make a tea with it and drink it, or I can make a bigger pot of it and take a bath with it, with the water, then this, the energy and grace of basil is then within me. So it's kind of a communion. I am becoming basil, and basil is becoming me.
When I started in '84, I had about half a patient a week because Dr. Herzka was not there. He came only occasionally. We worked together 17 years. We wrote a lot of books. So it's very slowly it increased and increased. And I said, 3 years I'm gonna make it, and then I'm gonna see how it's gone. And after 3 years, it was building up. And today I have so many patients. I wish I had more help. I wish I had anybody who could help me and do Hildegard treatment, because the patients love it dearly. I treated in the meantime 30 years about 30,000 patients. We have a garden in front of the center, and in the garden are growing our remedies. And it's a lot of fun to see how they grow throughout the year, how to harvest them, how to make an elixir, how to make a salve. So when we see a Hildegard garden, we need to have some basic remedies, like we have a quince tree. Quince, we have juice in the fall, or we have quince jam and preserve, or we have quince bread. And we need this for rheumatism, to get the uric acid out of our body. We drink a liter or half a liter of quince juice. Next tree we need in a Hildegard garden is a chestnut tree. The chestnut looks like a little brain. It has the same curves there, looks like a brain, so it has a significance to the brain. And she says, whoever has an empty brain, eat enough chestnuts and the function of your brain will be improved. And the other indication of chestnuts, which we got from Hildegard, is protecting our liver from all the toxins. Like the old French people, when they drank their red wine, they always ate marroni, chestnuts on the open fire, roasted. So the chestnuts protect the liver from the alcohol, so it doesn't get liver disease. Then we have a lot of spices and herbs. Like the most important one will be Galanga, which normally grows only in tropical gardens, but we have it here on the Lake of Constance, very warm on the south end of Germany. So it grows very well. We make from Galanga, we make a pill. And Dr. Herzka, when he started his office, he was also in a Sankawagen, in an emergency car, and he came to people who had heart attack. Normally you need nitroglycerin or you need adrenaline or something like that. And he didn't use that anymore. He was only using Galanga. he put that pill on their tongue and leave it on the tongue. It's very spicy, very hard, very sharp. And immediately it opens the vessel, the heart gets a good blood supply, and the pain goes immediately away within 2 or 3 minutes. You repeat it after 5 other minutes and 5 other minutes 3 times, and you can stop a heart attack, you can stop a stroke. You can go and check up afterwards in a hospital. So we are careful, we don't want to have a risk. And they say, okay, you had a beginning of a heart attack, you had a beginning, but it didn't affect you at all. It's coming from the ginger family, so it's like a spice and has no side effects. You cannot do anything wrong with Galanga. Every person on the world should have a box of Galanga in his pocket, because everybody, there's no exception, gets sometimes a stroke, a little stroke, or gets a heart attack or loss of hearing. It only depends how old you are. If you're getting older, you get everything there is. We come to Fennel, we see Fennel, and we are using Fennel tea, we are using Fennel tablets, and we are using also Fennel bulbs as a vegetable. Fennel is good at Carminative, which means it cleanses your karma, outside and inside. It's good for digestion, takes away all the putridity. We don't need deodorant, we eat Fennel, and it takes away the odor coming from your mouth or the odor coming from your skin. It's cleansing your eyes, so you could get a very good visibility. This is also one of the 100% good remedy for preventing digestion disease. Another one we have in our garden is duckweed. Duckweed is a little green plant floating on the water, and the ducks come and they eat it. This duckweed is a very good food for animals because it has a lot of proteins, and it contains a very slight radioactivity, very slightly. So this duckweed elixir is cooked with 10 other spices like ginger or cinnamon or fennel or tansy, and you take that cure during the winter time to improve your immune system. It's good for preventing flu, it's against flu, and it's especially preventing cancer and precancerosis and burnout and all kinds of weakness of your immune system. And you do that once a year, also a cure, and that takes care of preventing disease. Who wants to have cancer? Nobody wants to have cancer, but 1 person out of 3 in our society has cancer. This is ridiculous to wait till everybody has cancer, and then comes this very strong treatment with surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy. The best thing is preventing, and this you can do with Hildegard remedy of duckweed elixir.
And I made a special diet because I have 40 years of migraine, suffering of migraine. And then I learned a lot about food, about the Chinese food. But then it's not our culture. Then I was looking also something in our culture. You know, it's best to eat what you are, it's what is in your surrounding, what is seasonal. And she inspired me very much to eat this healthy food and something which is really good for your body.
She says Spelt is the most important and the best grain found on earth. She even says Adam and Eve, they were eating Spelt. Because it comes from Mesopotamia, where the paradise was, and the Egypts, they were eating it, the Greeks were eating it, the Romans were eating it, and of course here the Germans were eating also Spelt for 5,000 years. And Spelt not only contains the proteins and the carbohydrates and the fatty acids and the essential vitamins and minerals, it contains one substance which we have discovered only 20 years ago. It's called rhodanite or thiocyanate. Thio means sulfur Cyanide is what you kill people with, cyanide. And this substance, if it's together with the sulfur, is completely untoxic, and it's in our tears, it's in our salvia, it's in our blood, it's in the mother milk. The mother milk is giving the baby the defense system through this thiocyanate or uranite. And we found out that all the healthy cells have a combination of sulfur and cyanide, untoxic. But if it goes into cancerous cells, it's falling apart in sulfur and cyanide. And the cyanide is killing the cancerous cells. So if you eat Spelt, you have a constant treatment and killing of cancerous cells in your body. Not only a roll a day, you eat it 3 times a day, you eat pasta, you eat Spätzle, you eat cookies, you eat whatever. After her death, all fell into darkness. Nobody touched her books. Nobody translated that in any language till Dr. Herzka. He came 800 years later, and he got this book, and he fell in love with this book and says, oh my gosh, what's here? Here's rheumatism in, gout in, heart disease, here is cancer in.
I think this is also what drove her to the spirit, is that her body failed her in many, many ways. So she became more and more attached to the spiritual way of life.
So there's a lot of relationship between Hildegard and Ayurvedic and the Chinese. For example, Hildegard likes to cook, and all the stuff she cooks are remedies. This is what Hippocrates said already 2000 years ago. Your food should be your remedy. And so if we cook a soup or if we make a meal with Spelt, this is already has a purpose for your health.
She felt a connection to stones and knew that stones have a healing power too. So it's all these things in creation that by opening ourselves up to them in a mystical way, we can become healers of ourselves. So she didn't actually heal people. She opened up a space in their spirit where they could heal themselves through a relationship with the plant world and with stones.
In her Physica, she includes a chapter about healing with stones, and she is providing 20 stones with all the indications, precise indication what to do. Every stone has a crystal structure, and in the crystal structure we have atoms, and the atoms are vibrating, and this energy comes out, and this is in the range of our body energy. So if we have an organ which is dysfunctional, we can recharge it with crystal energy. She never treated anybody with her remedies. She was healing with charismatic things like with water from the Rhine River, or with prayers or laying hands on. 25 of those healings are recorded, but none with her own remedies. She might have eaten Spelt, that's for sure, because wherever she goes and went at that time was Spelt available.
As I discovered, Hildegard's spirit is still alive, ready to awaken us to our own unruly mystic. It may take courage, but the end result is no less than becoming closer to the Spirit of God within each of us. I wish to inspire you on your own divine path of creativity and spirituality, the ultimate awakening to your own unruly mystic. That is my intention in this moment. In some religious practices, a relic usually consists of the physical remains of a saint or venerated person preserved for the purposes of veneration as a tangible memorial. The first time I encountered the reliquary of St. Hildegard, there was no denying that sweetness, like a flower to a bee. Our group, having been invited by the nun to make an offering of song, did so, and having not practiced myself, I found myself singing in perfect harmony as tears streamed down my face. I was not alone.
In alle Ewigkeit. Amen.
When I returned 6 months later, it was her first official feast day. I was walking with St. Hildegard and part of a great wholeness that is limitless, as I discovered that auspicious day. There I was with her in that brisk September air, walking together.